Hi, I'm Huey Poplock. I'm your MC for tonight. This is the Sarasota Technology User Group for Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. Our speaker today will be Judy Taylour. She's going to be talking about troubleshooting your computer 101. And I am going to talk a little bit about STUG before we do that. We have classes and forums. The classes and forums are limited to current STUG members only, but some of the leaders of those classes or forums do let some people in from other user groups, or at least they make the videos of them available on our channel. The Windows 10 Tips, Tricks, and Tech Talk forum hosted by Dave Gerber will be on vacation for the month of July, be back in August. However, I am going to talk about the Windows Special Interest Group that I lead for the Central Florida Computer Society that you're all invited to. I'll be talking about that in a later slide. The iPhone, iPad applications, and I forgot to change the top of that, should be Saturdays in July from 10 a.m. to 12, hosted by Bill Crow for July. Bill will be doing application-focused classes, and they're listed at the bottom: notes and voice memo, mail and contacts, book applications, and then in August, he'll be doing pages and numbers. And if you aren't familiar with the iPhone and iPad and Macs, pages and numbers are part of their office. The STUG Help Desk is now scheduled for the third Wednesday of every month. If you have any questions at all, it's a good place to get answers. There's usually only a handful of us there, and you're more than welcome to join us. The next one will be July 21st from 1 until 2:15. And the link is in the meeting reminder and other member mailings. It's hosted by Jim's Cherney. To register for these STUG workshops, there are two methods. Either send an email to the instructor, which includes your full name, member number, and email address, or click a link provided in the, I was going to say weekly, but sometimes it's even more than weekly, notices that come to members. Tech for Seniors, it's hosted by myself and Ron Brown and Bob G, who is on here with us. And Bill James now has kind of joined our group as well as, and Ray Baxter and Dewey Cluse. You're invited to attend it every Monday, Eastern time. It starts open the doors at 11:30. We start directly at noon. And about 1 o'clock, we do a Q&A for 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes it goes out to a half an hour. Then we do a Tech for Seniors live. And I've got to change this slide because Bill James has joined us on this. So it's Huey, myself, Ron Brown, Bob G, and Bill James. Thursdays from 11:50 to 1:05 Eastern time. You do not have to get on Zoom. In fact, it's not even on Zoom. It's a YouTube and Facebook, and everyone is invited. No login is necessary. You can ask questions via chat, and we just talk about different new things in technology for the week. We do it every week. Then my Windows SIG is the second Sunday of every month at 1:30. This month it's July 11th, which is this Sunday. You can sign up for the newsletter, which hasn't been sent out yet. So if you sign up for that, you'll get the link to register. You have to be registered, and just go to huey.net and you can register for the newsletter there. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that you need or that are going to be required for Windows 11. A lot of that stuff's being over-talked, so we're not going to talk too much about it. And then I'm also going to be talking about the Microsoft Editor and how it can be used, whether you use the free version of Office, and there is a free version of Office, by the way, Microsoft Office. And we're going to talk about that, and then also how you can use it and what the differences are with the paid version of Microsoft Office, which turned into Office 365, which is now Microsoft 365. Today, please add your name to the chat box, your first and last name, whether you're a member, and your member number if you know it. If you don't, just say that you are a member. If you're not, just put that you're a guest. If you're a guest, put your first and last name, the city and state where you're located, and if you're a member of a user group, the name of your user group. There's some examples at the bottom of this. The STUG website is thestug.org. please take a look at it. It's an award-winning website with lots and lots of good information, and it's kept up to date. The STUG YouTube channel, this was a screenshot from a day or two ago, and you can see we post prior meetings as well. Don't forget our Facebook page and our blog. Here's our officers. And Ann, go ahead and introduce Judy.
Oh.
And I will stop the share. Oh, before you start, I need to make a slide. At each of these meetings, we do give away a $50 Amazon gift card, but you do have to be a member, but you have to be online when we do the drawing, and we do it sometime during the meeting. And then you have to be online at the end of the meeting when we're going to announce who the winner is. If you're not online, it goes to the next person chosen. And with that, Ann, I'll turn it over to you.
That just keeps them there, right, Judy? Well, you know, everybody will want to stay because it's Judy Taylour. And we are so excited that she's back with us again. Judy, we're just delighted to have you. She's a 28-year member of a Southern California Computer Club, where she serves as the president, the editor, and webmaster. As though she doesn't have enough jobs, she is also co-facilitator of a group of technology clubs in Southern California that have gotten together quarterly for almost 20 years to share ideas and present her information, solve problems, and all of that. She's a proponent of lifelong learning, as you can see. She's taught adult education computer classes for 21 years through her local high school district and is a member of the Pierce College Computer Applications and Office Technology Advisory Committee, which I think she should shorten to Pick-away Tech. That meets annually to suggest courses for the next school year. She has given numerous presentations at APCUG's annual conferences, the Southeast Technology and Computer Conference, where she serves as a chairman, the local technology clubs and webinars via APCUG's Speakers Bureau, and she holds various positions in APCUG. In fact, I really do think that when we think of APCUG, that's all we think of is Judy Taylour. Anyway, we're just delighted she's here with us tonight because she's going to truly educate us. She says that she's going to tell us all about what to do to troubleshoot our computers. And boy, do we need that. And especially after what we've just been through, we really didn't lose much of what we thought we might lose in the last evening, fortunately, but at least we always had our computers with us. But when they don't work, it's no fun. So let me not take any more time, and let's give a great welcome to Judy Taylour. Judy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do have to share with you that I have shortened that bio quite a bit. So if you ever invite me again, I will send you the new one. But we did not have a Pierce Junior College meeting last year, of course, but we had a Zoom meeting this year. And when I got the invitation, she said, please send me your address. I want to send you something. This was the chair of the department. And I did. And in return for being on a Zoom meeting, I received a ½ pound of Cease chocolates. And you think about all the presentations you get, and that was so cute. But I'm thinking, gee, you know, I guess since they didn't spend anything on the catered food or anything, they figured they'd take that money and send us each a box of candy. And it was so much fun because it came in a little case with a cooler and everything. And what a surprise. So this is about troubleshooting 101, and it's from keeping your computer clean to the way we used to do our preventive maintenance back in the day that you could still do, to what's new and then what is coming up. And I've got a couple of slides, or at least one slide of what it's going to look like in Windows 11. to do some of the things that we need to do when we have to troubleshoot our computers. So we are off and running. And this is brought to you by the Speakers Bureau, APCUG, and it's a benefit of your group being a member in APCUG. And Huey is a member of the Speakers Bureau, as is Bill James, plus a lot of other people. We have well over 100 presentations available for the groups to choose from. So it may look like your computer has crashed and burned, all of your data is gone. There are lots of problems that keep you from reaching your data that can be fixed, sometimes in a matter of minutes, and sometimes they're more serious than they really are. You think, oh my gosh, the end of the world has come. Hard drives do fail. They don't fail very often, but I have lost 2 hard drives, and they both happened in the summer before the Southwest Technology Conference. And if I had not had backups, we would have been unable to have the conference because everything related to it was on my computer's hard drive. So here's a thing is, don't forget, you really need to back up. Even if you don't think you don't have that much important data, you really need to at least back up your data. So don't panic. Don't run right out and buy yourself a new computer. Just relax, take a deep breath, pour yourself a glass or a cup of your favorite beverage and start working. So once you do start troubleshooting, you'll want to remember where you've been, what you've done. So if you pick up the next day, you won't repeat yourself. And can we still remember all of the steps that we've taken? Perhaps we need to write them down. And if you end up, asking a user group buddy, a STUG buddy, whoever, or a tech guy, they're going to say, what did you try? What did you do? And if you can give somebody anybody, but if you're going to pay money for it, and you give, I've done these things and nothing worked. And that kind of will save you some time and money because they can then carry on and do some things that you didn't do. So the very first thing you need to do is restart. Reboot means the same thing. If you call your ISP for help, the first thing they usually say is, have you rebooted your modem, whatever equipment you have from them? And if you call for tech help, they're going to say the same thing. So make sure that you can say, yes, I did, and not one moment while I take however long it's going to do for you to restart your computer. So when you use restart, and back in the day, we always were told you must shut down. Well, now it's restart is better for us. But as we are using our computers, our operating system, the Word and everything that we are using leaves a little bit of this, a little bit of that we don't need, but it just didn't quite close all the way. And when you restart your computer, every program and process ends and you start out new. So you have to put your thinking cap on and sit down. Like I said, you're relaxing and think, did I install a new program? Did I, what have I done? Did I download something from the internet? Did I get a new piece of hardware? With you guys, did I have a power outage? And if you have yes to any of the above, that kind of gives you a head start where you could start looking. So if you can't start it, you turn it on and you get Mr. Black screen. Don't automatically think it's the end of the world. Perhaps your monitor cable, if you have a desktop like I have just gotten after 1,000 years of having a laptop, perhaps it has worked its way out of your surge protector. Over time, they do. You have a dog, you have, in my case, cats, they're under your feet. There's no telling, if they're laying on something they shouldn't. You have grandkids that are, wandering around and, they're under your feet, same type of thing. So you should turn it off and unplug every single cord and cable. This is a time that you can clean them. Again, this is if you have a desktop, straighten them out, plug everything back in. With a laptop, of course, you don't have that much to do, but just make sure everything is seated correctly at both ends. And if you have a ton and a half of cords and cables, this might be a time when you want to label them so you know exactly which one belongs where. So your keyboard doesn't work. Well, if you have a wired keyboard, you've unplugged it and plugged it back in. I only have Logitech 320s. I've used them for years. Well, maybe my little dongle needs to go into another port. Perhaps the USB port it's in has died. Maybe it isn't pushed in correctly. Perhaps I should look and I replace the batteries. So those are some of the things you can do with your wireless keyboard. And of course, if you end result is, you've plugged your wired keyboard back in and it doesn't work, it might be time for a new one. I go through wireless keyboards quite often because I'm using my computer all the time. The ink disappears on the keys, and I go through batteries, and then all of a sudden it just says, hey lady, you've been using me too long. I give up the ghost. I happen to buy them when they're on sale, so I always have an extra 320 on hand to get me up and going. Make sure, and you guys down there in Florida all know this, have a surge protector or a UPS. And if you're using your surge protector, make sure it's on and that it is working. Perhaps for some reason, it is, again, one of the animals stepped on the on and off and it's been turned off and you don't realize it. It may not be working because they're designed to self-destruct. When we get an electrical jolt, that's your surge protector dies for us instead of our monitor or our desktop or our, anything like that. And they're designed to do that, but they're only designed to do it so many times. And I remember back in the day, and I think APCUG still has this, that if your surge protector dies because of too many hits, they replace it free. So make sure that, and this goes for your friends and relatives, make sure they are not using a $2.95 in case this one is $3.90 from Big Lots that is really not a surge protector. The one on the right is a good one, and it was at Walmart. Everybody's got a Walmart. And so make sure that, you've got a good one. It hasn't been hanging around for, 5, 6, 10 years. Maybe it's time to get a new one. And check your circuit breaker. Maybe this has popped just from where you are working. You never know. So your internet access is gone. With Spectrum, which I guess you guys have too, that happens every once in a while to me. And I've been told by my Spectrum people to use an Ethernet cable. So my computer and my smart TV are both into my router with a Ethernet cable. But you might want to test your router. Unplug it. I always wait for more than 30 seconds and then turn it back on. And there's a routine that if you unplug your router and your modem, there's a routine which one you plug in first and all that good kind of stuff. Bill James will tell you, you should reboot your router at least every week. We reboot our computers, we turn them off and turn them on. I leave mine on as long as I possibly can, but that's one of those things is do as I say and not as I do. But you should turn your computer off on a regular basis. Well, he believes that you should do the same thing with your other equipment. And you have to think about how old is your router? And a meeting that we recently had, one of our Wednesday workshops, this guy said, my router's 10 years old. And everybody came unglued because they said, it's got to be so unsecure because you haven't got any security updates or hardware updates for eons. So maybe your router is 1,000 years old and you need to go out and buy another one. When I had Time Warner or Spectrum equipment, I don't have there, I have my own now. About every year, I would unplug everything and take it up, and I'd hand them to them and say, hi, they go, you're back, and I want new stuff. And they would, take mine and hand me new boxes. Of course, what I was getting was just refurbished on their end, but it was new to me. And I had Spectrum field tech, one of the best I've had, and a supervisor here for 4 hours one day. And he looked at I have VoIP through Spectrum, and that's the only equipment from Spectrum that I still have. And he said, he said, this will be completely bad for you to use by the end of the year. That was I'm thinking November of 2020. And I thought to myself, isn't that interesting? Because I was getting ready to take it back and turn it in and get another one. So again, if you are using your ISP's equipment, don't keep it forever. Keep rotating it around. So before you start troubleshooting anything, you absolutely must create a restore point. That's a just in case you do something and you go, oh Lord, why in the world did I do that? You've got a place to go back to. And if you have never created a restore point, you should just create one for grins. You don't need to restore anything. You just need to know where you go and how you do it. So I'm a proponent of typing what I'm going to do in my search box. This is what comes up, create a restore point. And by golly, even as late as this morning, it still says control panel. You go into it, you click on create, you give it a name, any name. And that's the name that if you have to go back, that you're going to go back to. And then you're good to go. So if you haven't done that again, put one together. Look at your programs. Get rid of what you don't use. You have a game that you absolutely thought was the cat's meow. You haven't used it in over a year. Uninstall it. Our things on our hard drive are in they're in alphabetical order. My oldest grandson called me one time and said, Grammy, something's wrong with my computer. Can you come over and look at it? I said, sure. And well, he was one of the kids that played with Steam and all that good kind of stuff. And one of the games he played, unbeknownst to him in the background, downloaded a bunch of junk. They were just pups, potentially unwanted programs, but he didn't want them anymore. He didn't know what to do with them. And I sat down and I would click on one in the alpha order. Do you know what this is? No. I clicked on another one. And then I thought, okay, Judy, get a grip, sort by date. And when I sorted by date, there was the block of pups that he didn't need and I needed to uninstall. And it was so much easier if I sorted by the install date. Your speakers don't work. Well, take a look at that speaker icon that's to the left of the clock on your taskbar. For some reason, has it, I do need to say, we have gremlins in our computers that change things that we swear we have no idea how that got changed. The speakers is one of them. You can look and say, I always keep it 100%, but all of a sudden it's down to 25%. And you think, okay, fine, no wonder I don't think it works. Well, that would be simple. You would just slide the bar back to 100. Or you can go into settings, system, and sound, make sure the correct speaker has been selected, and you go, oh yeah, that's the right one. And then you can click on troubleshoot, and Microsoft in its infinite wisdom will run the troubleshooting app for speakers. And it will let you know if there is a problem or not. And this is something that you need to know of because of Zoom. You don't change any settings on Zoom and all of a sudden you don't have any sound. Well, you can, look in your microphone settings with the up arrow and you can make sure that the correct microphone is set, the speakers, the whole 9 yards. And if everything looks good, this is your backup coming into here and double checking on Microsoft's end today. When Bill and I were working together, I found out that, for some reason, 2 monitors had been checked in my display. I did not do that, but that was the problem I happened to be having with PowerPoint. So your printer doesn't work. Well, I leave my printers on all the time, so you're going to need to turn them off and turn them back on again. And you can find that easily in Control Panel. Close your ears, Bill. Devices and printers. And my laser is always my default printer. I literally use my color printer a few times a year. It's mainly for me to print the certificates that the contest people get for entering and for winning the contest for APCUG in the fall. So it's usually my laser printer that will have a problem. And what you need to do is check if the printer is offline. Again, this is one of those gremmy things. Sometimes it just happens. And you keep doing Control P and printing and sitting there and saying, okay, you know, I'm waiting. And then you click on File and Print, and you're still waiting. Well, you need to go in to your printer setup. And the first time this happened to me, I absolutely came unglued, because as I got into it, I had a string of documents that were waiting in queue, and use printer offline had been checked. I always have my laser as set as default printer. I do not let Windows choose my printer. I choose it myself. And I got the biggest kick out of that. And I thought, okay. So I set as default printer, and I deleted all of my documents in the queue, and I was off and running. And this happens to me every once in a while, and I have yet to figure out why. And the same thing would happen to my students, and they'd go, oh my gosh, you're kidding. This is what I can do to fix it? Yeah. So your programs are unresponsive. Well, you need to open Task Manager, and you can select one at a time, and you can delete the program that is stuck. Back in the day, we couldn't do this. I mean, that's way back in the day. You know, you had to kind of, you know, shut everything down and go back up, but we can try one at a time. In this instance, I was going to shut down PowerPoint, and as soon as I selected it in the lower right-hand corner, I would click on End Task or the Delete key. Go back into out of Task Manager and go back in, open up the program again, and see if just shutting that one program down makes that program work now. Really cool to do this, because you don't have to shut everything down, turn off your computer, go back in, and then open up everything again. But if that doesn't work, then you are going to have to reboot and go through that process. You know, you can do Control-Alt-Delete and selects the Task Manager. That's what we have learned since the beginning of time. You can right-click on your taskbar. You still have to click on Task Manager. You can right-click on Start. You still have to select Task Manager. I don't know if you have had a presentation by Francis Chow, but he likes to go directly to Task Manager. Do not pass go. He does Control-Shift-Escape, and that takes that extra Task Manager click out of there. And I have found that my fingers just don't like to go that way. So I'm still stuck using Control-Shift-Delete. And times you just have to pull the plug. There's nothing else that you could do. It's just pull it. Everything is stuck. Everything is frozen. And at least wait a minute for the hard drive to stop spinning. That's assuming you have a platter with you, a record player, and then restart the machine. So after your computer boots up, open the same applications you were using. Some programs like Microsoft Office are really cool. They make timed backups. And if you're lucky, there will be a recovered file for you to have right there that you can do something with. And you can save it with a different name, and then you can compare it with one that you've previously saved. And happens with Word, happens with PowerPoint. This is my document recovery for Word one time, because with that miserable Dell that I had, it was always shutting itself down and then turning itself back on. what I do is with my curriculum that I put together for over 20 years and the presentations I do and things like that, I always think my stuff is more important than Microsoft's 10 minutes. In your file options and save, you can customize how long, what's the time frame you want the automatic backup. If you're not every once in a while doing Control S after you've given a name, I always set my auto recovery for 5 minutes and click on OK, and I'm off and running. You can also go into your file options, and you will find a thing that you can click on for recovered files. I'll be honest with you, I have never got anything from that has done me any good. It's the document recovery pane that comes up that has been saved me many times. If you've got error messages, well, you need to be able to look at them, tell somebody, hi, that I was unable to fix my computer, but this is the error message that I kept getting. Well, if we tried to write it down or we tried to type that out, that's not going to happen. We're going to make a mistake or many mistakes doing it. So you can use your print screen key and it will print everything that's on the page. And if you use your Alt print screen key, you just get what's in the middle. I'm a fan of the Snipping Tool. And I just go in and click on my little scissors on my taskbar and snip it out. And with these, I am putting them into some kind of program. WordPad, I use Word. I'd save it in an error messages folder and give it the date. And that way, if you you come across 2 or 3 error messages, you've got them all in one place. This doesn't have anything to do with troubleshooting, but I love Windows key plus print screen when I'm on Zoom. I want to capture something in the presentation or whatever, and it automatically goes. You do not have to paste it any place. It automatically goes into your pictures, screenshots folder. And if you say, I don't have a print screenshots folder, you will have one right there. And it's always down at the bottom, which is where this is from the Wednesday workshop that was robots for seniors and 3D printing. And the thing that comes with Windows 10 now is Snip and Sketch. It's a little bit too much for what I want to do. I really just want to click on a pair of scissors and pretend like I'm using them to cut something else. But with this, you can do all kinds of different things with whatever you have snipped. So listen carefully. When you are turning on your computer, do you hear grinding noises? And if it's sitting on the floor, as is mine now, it's not actually on the floor, it's on a stand with wheels. I don't have carpeting, but I have tile, but I have always had my desktops off the carpeting. So it can tell you early sign that your drive is dying. It can die in the next 5 minutes or 5 weeks. So you better have something to back up your files if you haven't, or create an image of your hard drive. And you can just go out and buy a new hard drive and copy the image from the external hard drive over, or you can buy a new computer and say, I'm going to treat myself with a new computer, and you can install your programs, copy your files, etc. This is what happened to me with my Southwest Tech hard drives dying. First time I heard something and I thought, that really sounds weird. I was getting beeps. I wasn't getting the grinding sound. So I called Jerry Clark, who was part of my 2-person, he and his wife, brainstorming crew. And he's also had a tech business for years. And I said, hi, Jerry. I said, I'm getting these beeping codes. And he goes, Judy, turn your computer off and turn it back on and put the phone down, the receiver down there for me. And he said, your hard drive is dying. And each hard drive is going to have a different set of beep codes, but any competent tech, if you are having beeps, can tell you what is wrong. It could be your fan. With mine, it was my hard drive. So the next time, a few years later, it happened, I called him and I said, Jer, it's happening with this hard drive too. And we repeated the process and he says, yep, Judy, you're right. Your hard drive's failing. And I said, you know, I'm such a lucky person. So listen carefully when you are booting up your computer. So your computer keeps restarting. I had this happen to me. Well, you know, components inside may be overheating. Make sure the vents in the case are not blocked. Make sure that you are dusting your cases, even your laptop, and it's got vents. And make sure that with your desktop, the vents aren't, one vent isn't too close to anything. That's not blocking the airflow. The same thing with your laptop. I used a laptop stand with mine. And when I took it to the computer club to give a presentation, I took 2 decks of cards with me. So my laptop was up a little bit so there could be some airflow. Talk about paranoia that you don't want it to overheat. And I also used my 320 Logitech 320 keyboard and mouse because I always wanted to be ergonomically correct. And using a laptop keyboard is certainly not ergonomically correct. And there's no way that I had ever wanted to get carpal tunnel. So I made sure that I was, you know, being really safe with the keyboard and mouse. So in my case, my power supply was dying and it would turn on. I could do a little bit of work and then it would turn off. For me, I don't replace anything. So I took it into a tech and they said, yes, your power supply is dying. Let us give you a new one. So everybody, as far as I'm concerned, needs to have a Swiffer that they just use to clean their tech equipment. The screen, the keyboard, the mouse, the case, everything like that. It works wonderfully for your smart screen TV. If it is on the wall and you are only looking straight ahead at it, you'd be surprised if you could look at it sideways to see how much dust is on it. Mine happens to sit at an angle, so when I come in to the family room, I can get a good look at how much dust is there. The same thing with your screen. If you can't see it from the side, you don't know how dusty it is. And every once in a while, good mother that I am, I will go to my kids' houses and I will take my Swiffer and I will do all of their flat screens. And on a good day, one of them will call and say, hey, Mom, you were here, weren't you? We just noticed how much better the TV in the family room looks. And I'd say, yes, it was just me doing my thing. So if your computer is running slow, make sure you have all the latest Windows updates installed. For some reason, said oldest grandson, who actually was my techie grandson, turned off his Windows updates. And I went over and I was able to install a lot of back updates except for one. And it required something that I couldn't get to. So I said, sorry, Tyler, you're going to have to, we had a favorite tech. And I said, it's going to have to go to Mark. I said, I've done as much as I can, but I've come to a standstill. So like I said, I have no clue why he did that. So make sure that nobody does that because they hate Microsoft. Remember to install all of your pending updates. With Windows 10, you can set the time. I have mine set for, I'm up until all hours of the night, but I have it set for theoretically I would be asleep, for the updates to download and install. So when I'm using my computer, it's not turning on and off while I am using it. So you find the setting in there in updates and security and set your active hours. I checked mine at 11:50 this morning about 1 o'clock and it said, hi, you're up to date. We last checked today at 11:51. And I just wanted you to see that 21H1 is still sitting in the wings because it says when you're ready for the update, select download and install. Now, usually there is a lot of buzz about the spring and fall updates and oh my gosh, I can't do this. and gee, this has ruined this part of my computer, and you hear this from a gazillion people, and they keep coming with updates. So I kind of wait, you know, a month or so after it's been released so they can get all of the glitches or bugs fixed before I download it. I like to be an early adopter, but not necessarily with the 2 updates. The spring update is usually the major update when this happens. I haven't really heard much of any buzz about people having problems with the update. And who knows if the fall update will be a huge 10 or it will be Windows 11. So your Patch Tuesdays, they're called monthly quality updates and cumulative. But we know we get more updates than just on Patch Tuesday. We got one about some print thing that it was going to be the end of the world if we got that on our computers. But remember the Tuesday updates, when you turn your computer off, it says, please don't turn your computer off. We need to download it, install this. And with that, you just get up and walk away to make sure that you have everything that's the latest and greatest from Microsoft. And feature updates are the 21H1. It'll be theoretically 21H2 in the fall. And we might be getting a new version of the OS or not. And of all things, Microsoft recommends you do a full backup, or at least a backup of your files before installing a feature update. That would be the 2 biggies, but it isn't necessary. So Microsoft qualifies it with that, but it isn't necessary. Okay, thanks for telling us to do it, then telling us maybe we don't have to do it. You can pause your updates for 7 days. I think you can do this 5 times. This is where you change your active hours. Please don't bother me during the day when I'm working on something and all of a sudden you're downloading, installing updates. Every once in a while, you should go in and take a look at your update history. Perhaps you've missed one. This is what happened with Tyler. Not that he'd missed a lot of them, but there was one in there that I couldn't reach. So he had to pay to have it all set up. So take a look at this. If you have not gone into here, take a look at it and see what you can customize for what works for you. But again, you always want to have the latest Microsoft updates or you're going to be in trouble. You can set, this used to be 12 and then they put it up to 18. I guess they didn't realize how long people actually use their computers. So some people use FileHippo or Ninite to update the rest of their software. Unless you want to go to each software, app that you have, their website, and look and see whether they have any updates on anything, you should think about using an updater for your other programs other than Microsoft. Again, so you don't have trouble, you need to keep those up to date too. I happen to like Patch My PC. It was recommended by Matt Batt, who is the former president of the Sun City Center Computer Club in Florida. And I like it because it works for me, but it's also colorful. I don't delete, work in black and white. I like the color and this just appears for me. You could set this up to update your programs how often you want, or you can do it automatically. It works in the background. But again, if you keep your other software up to date, you are going to have less problems. So if you're on the internet and your computer's running slow, check out your plugins. Make sure they're up to date. Again, if you don't, it leads to problems. Check to see your speed. Upload, download, get in touch with your ISP and find out what you are paying for. With Spectrum, for us, it's 200. Well, with my Dell, I had a network card that only was rated for 100. So, okay, fine. My new computer is the 200 range. And I did that, checked my speed, and this is what I got a couple of hours ago. My upload speed certainly could be a heck of a lot better, but at least I have over the 200 that I'm paying for. So how many programs are you running in the background? Does it take forever for your computer to start? At my last job, it would take forever. And I would crab and I would complain. And the IT department finally said, Judy, just go get a cup of coffee. And then when you come back, your computer will be turned on. So when you download a new program, they all think they're the be all to end all. And they want to open every single day because they just know you're going to use their program every day. So you need to go into your task manager and into startup. I actually use CCleaner to do this and check to see what is starting up that you don't want. And it will tell you medium, low, high, whatever. And I have mine, there's more down below that I haven't customized. It's stuff that I don't need up every single day. I'm more than capable of clicking on the icon or whatever to start it. I stop it. It's still there, but I stop it. Not going to hurt anything at any time. If I decide to use something every single day, I can turn it back on with no problem. And I happen to use CCleaner too, because you need to clean your browsers to make them run more efficiently. I use CCleaner to do that too. Install it, but please smell the roses. Customize it before you run it. I happen to like history. I every once in a while, I want to find someplace I've been 2 weeks ago. So I uncheck the internet history box. CCleaner is going to open up the way they think you should do your cleaning. You need to customize it yourself. And there you go. Now, you've uninstalled your programs. You've done as much cleaning as you possibly can, and you're going to do even more. Well, this is the way we used to clean from the beginning of time our computers. We would, in this case, go into this PC, right click on C, and this screen came up. This has been the same screen for years. It's amazing how many people say, oh my, oh, I will never be able to learn how Windows works. Oh, it looks like the most difficult thing in the whole world. What they don't realize is when you get into it, what's below it, a lot of it is exactly the same. But it looks different and it feels different. So you want to clean up your disk. And you're going to get that green bar trucking across. And there's the ever little cleanup box there, and you check the boxes. And if you say, oh my gosh, I do not know what that is, if you highlight whatever it is, the Windows Update Cleanup, it gives you a description and you think, oh, okay, I never, ever delete my temporary files. Temporary internet files are fine, not my temp files. But again, and then what would blow my students' minds was, oh my gosh, are you sure you want to permanently delete these files? Well, yeah, that's the point. We're making our hard drive cleaner. Well, it's Windows 10 time. So you need to learn how to use Windows 10 Storage Sense. And it says it can automatically free up space by getting rid of files you don't need. Okay, fine. Temporary files, recycle bin. Well, you go to Settings, Systems and Storage, and then you need to take time again to smell the roses and scroll through the list and say, yes, I want to empty this. Oh no, I want to keep my recycle bin. Once a month I go in and I just make sure I don't have anything in there that I've accidentally said go to delete. And so that's something that I want to do manually. That might be your choice. So you have to, again, customize it. Okay. So I like to decide what I want to remove, so I don't do it automatically. And there's your little toggle bar right there, off or on. And it's a laundry list of things all in a line. You start up at the top. and you check what you want to have cleaned, how often you want it to do, the whole 9 yards. So that was the old way we cleaned our hard drives. This is the Windows 10 way. We do some, this is, you know, preventive maintenance. We have stuff on here that is clogging up or making it run slow or whatever. We want to get rid of it. And again, you can decide you want to do it during low free disk space. That's going to, you know, you're going to have everything but the kitchen sink on there until then. And it may or may not make your computer run slow. So carefully go through everything. And if every week works for me, may as well. I'm going to keep it as tidy as I possibly can and as trouble-free as I possibly can. And for one time, they had the downloads folder was an automatic on, and one of those things where everybody had a fit and fell in it and said, no, I don't want to, you know, get rid of everything in my downloads folder once a week. So you just choose never for that if that's your choice. And it's the same thing, free up space now, click on remove the files. And again, there's that word permanently that would drive my students crazy. But if you have made your choices, yes, you want them gone permanently. So everything on your hard drive is much cleaner. People debate about your registry. You've followed all of the hard drive cleaning steps and your computer is still running slowly. You might want to try a registry cleaner. Big controversy about this. It's either, oh my gosh, yes, 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 or, oh, that would be the last thing in the world I would ever do. I happen to trust CCleaner, so I use their registry cleaner and I have never, ever had a problem. It was interesting to find when I got my first Dell, which was my one and only Dell, that has never worked correctly. The first time I looked at this just for grins, I had 306 issues and I had had the computer for 2 weeks. So that kind of, you know, told me something right there. And it automatically, it doesn't automatically, but yes, you create a registry backup folder and then fix the issues. Off you go. And it says, we've taken care of it. Thank you so much. Do a full deep scan with your security program. We do know that our security programs are scanning, but not necessarily doing a really deep scan. So do a full scan and make sure that there isn't something somewhere hidden that isn't being found. You can also go out and there are programs that belong to, I use Avast, other companies that they will do not download on your computer and want to be your security program, that from their different point of view, they will scan your hard drive for issues. And if you'd like to do that, that's just for grits. They may or may not come up with something that the one that I use or you use didn't come up with. I'm a proponent of Malwarebytes. Bob G is also a proponent of Malwarebytes. This is one of the 2 programs I pay for. The other is CCleaner. And you need to learn all about the Windows 10 Fix-It tool. This is where you can get your stuff fixed. You have cleaned everything. You have uninstalled programs that you don't want anymore. You have checked out various and sundry things that come out and you're having trouble with your internet connection. Well, here's where you're going to go. And again, I showed you with the sound. You can click on the troubleshoot link there and Microsoft will do the troubleshooting for you. So if you were doing this and you could say to a tech that you did, I went into the icon on my taskbar and it was at 100%. I went in to make sure that I had selected the same speaker, the correct speakers. I clicked on the troubleshoot and it doesn't find anything. And I've done as much as I possibly can. And my sound is still not working. So if you can tell a computer tech that, or the Hueys of the world in your group, and people like him who are extremely knowledgeable, they can say, maybe, have you tried something else that we haven't, we didn't figure out what to do. But the end result, if you use troubleshoot on our end, this is about as far as we, just ordinary computer users, can do. But they have troubleshoot fix-it places for almost everything. And, you might just want to do this first. Skip the cleaning, skip the maintenance part, and pop right through to the troubleshoot fix-it tool. But again, this is something that you should look at. If you haven't, you need to get familiar with it, with all of the areas where it will fix it. It will take it into this, and they will go, you'll see things going back and forth on your screen, and it's going to come up and say, aha, we fixed it, or we didn't find anything wrong. And as you're tearing your hair out saying, but there is something wrong, again, at least you have the information to tell, your next step up on, I tried all of this and it didn't work. And they and I love it. They call them certain critical problems on your device to keep it running smoothly. And they'll give you additional recommendations if they have one. Again, one of the little toggle things is, will you share your diagnostic data with Microsoft? So many people turn all of that off. Well, this might want to be something that you turn on. Look at all the things that it will try and fix for you. Hardware, internet, keyboard, you name it. Become familiar with all of this. It doesn't hurt to go onto each one and just check it out for grins. They might, every single one of them, come back to you and say, we have not found a program. That lets you know that your computer is running wonderfully, whether you think so or not. This is how it looks in Windows 11. Got this off, captured this off the internet, as there is everything out there, and everything at the top, there's no ribbon, and it's much more clean. And by golly, I found this on 3 different sites, and each one of them starts with the old 1,000-year-old disk cleanup, with the exact same screen on the right where you can check the boxes. But please note that both of the screens that are on top of the desktop have rounded corners. I happen to hate squares and love rounded things, so I'm quite pleased with the rounded corners, which is a really frivolous minor thing. And there's your start menu. Settings is right there. That's how you get to storage. And I noticed in the screenshots that these aren't rounded corners yet. But again, it's more streamlined than the stuff that you have to go through even in Windows 10. So in Windows 11, if you move up to it, this is storage. You're going to want to familiarize yourself with what is there. Is there more stuff? Have thought some things been taken away? But don't forget to take a look. Sometimes you just have to refresh your computer. I did that with the Dell. Late at night, Bill and I were online together, doing a quick assist. And he said, we played around with this long enough. And neither one of us could figure it out. So I hadn't refreshed for, oh Lord, years and years. So he walked me through it. It keeps the apps that came with my PC. But if you do refresh, please write down a list of the apps that you have installed, because you will need to reinstall all of them again. Perhaps you have backed them up on an external hard drive. Good for you. Back up your data too, just for grins. And reset this PC, keep my files, That is the option I chose. If you want it to go back to factory ready, then you're going to get rid of everything on it. And we really don't want to do that. So again, this is a place where you stop and smell the roses before you instantly click on something and you're, oh my gosh, it's getting rid of everything. And click get started, and all of you need to do, extremely simple, follow the instructions. If you have Windows 10 to Windows 10, like Bill and I do, and other people that I have helped and he has helped, Quick Assist is the way to go. And it's very easy. We did that when I was, saying, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to give this PowerPoint presentation today because I can't get the right screen to come up. And enables you to work with somebody or somebody to take over your computer and help you and helping you fix a problem. You've done as much as you can. You really don't need to unplug everything and go someplace. If it's 10 to 10, you can use Quick Assist. And the person that is helping you can easily take over your computer, click and do this and do that, and possibly find something that you have missed or something that you didn't know about. And you get a security code. We are always on the phone when we do this. So he just tells me what the security code is. We have never talked for 10 minutes while it expires. And with that, we're up and running. The minute that either one of us stops it, it's done. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, the person who is doing this is going to be able to get into my computer. No. It's a one-shot deal with the security code that you receive if you are the one, getting assistance. So not to worry about, anybody being able to break in afterwards. And you can send them an email, a text message. We just do it on the phone with the code. You type it in, click on submit, and you're up and running. Of course, getting all of this together at the first part depends on how fast your internet is. If you have slow internet, it's going to take a while to get connected. Be patient, and then you'll see the other person's desktop in a window on your computer if you are the person that is helping someone else, vice versa. And icons are up there. You're good to go. John Kennedy has used TeamViewer for years. He would use that with his students that just learned something, and it's so easy to use that he would give them a link, and if you have any problems, shoot me an email and we'll do a TeamViewer session. And these were his beginning people. He has since gone on. He thinks AnyDesk is better now than TeamViewer. And with this, you can receive assistance from anybody. It doesn't have to be Windows 10 to Windows 10. It could be to, 7, 8, whatever, a different operating system, Linux, Mac. AnyDesk does robots. I asked Bill to check it out to see if he could talk to Herman, his robotic vacuum, just for grins. So there's the other option of receiving help as well as giving help. You also want to use Google. Google is your friend. Ask a question. When I ask my question of Google, I type it in a full sentence, just the way I would ask somebody that was standing right here. Make sure you include all of the information that you need answers to. And if you have the error code, copy and paste it if there's room for you to do that. You can browse for forums. Forums are not something that I use. Bob G is on the Avast forum, and he has answered what I think the last count was 45,000 things that he has put answers up to and everything. So forums might be where you can put your question in and 13 people will say, yes, have the same problem and this is how I fixed it. Or the moderator of the forum will come up with, hey, go to this website and you will find out how to fix the problem. You can go to the vendor's website, check out the frequently asked questions. I prefer one-on-one contact with people, so I'm not a fan of using this either, but it might be something that works for you. And you want to talk to a human somewhere, go to gethuman.com and put in the name of the company. And 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a phone number there that you can use. One of the people in my area in SoCal wants to talk to Zoom's tech support. And I went in to Get Human, and there's a couple of phone numbers in there that you don't find on the website. With my digital asset presentation that I've given you guys, I have a listing for the credit bureaus. Well, I realized that my credit report has me living in 2 places. I've lived in the same house here for 43 years, but it has me living in 2 other places. Well, my youngest daughter lived in both those places. So I called the main number and I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited some more. And I thought, this is really silly. And then I remembered Get Human. And I called the number, and by golly, somebody picked up the phone instantly. It makes you almost want to hang up because you're so surprised. And he took care of my problem instantly. I have changed that slide in my presentation. And if you talk with somebody, the president of the Space Coast PC User Group in Florida, he has a president's column, and he didn't have anything to write, but his daughter was there, and she's a tech support representative. And she said, she wrote the column, and she said, please don't mention another company's app when you're having a problem with us. We can't help you with that. And her thing is don't skip the automated voice, or you might need to be transferred because, you just for grids, click number 2. And when you are on number 2 waiting a while, you realize, oh, I'm going to have to transfer you, and you have to wait again. Know your information, and when you're asked a question, just answer what is asked. Don't keep going on and on and on about it. Right? Don't ramble. And she said there will be long periods of silence, and what they're doing is they're running some tests. I have been on with GoDaddy. I was on 7 hours over 3 days one time. And I'm kind of approaching that again with a hosted website problem. And their music is really crummy, but you do get a tech. And I realize when I'm not hearing he or she do anything, they actually are doing something. They're just not talking to me. And if there is a feedback place, honest, they want to know whether you gave good, bad, or indifferent service, because she said that's the way they learned. And Microsoft, I used to have the direct contact number to get into Microsoft when you picked they were in the Philippines. You dialed it and it was tech support in the Philippines, and that number is out of service. So they say the only way you can do it is to use the Open Get Help app. I really enjoyed getting directly through to the Philippines. You never had to wait, and anybody in the Philippines has been trained to give excellent service. So I am finished, and I have stopped sharing. And are there any questions? And I imagine you get a lot of your problems taken care of by your help desk. Am I correct?
May I ask a question?
Please do.
Where in the world did you get so much knowledge?
Okay. I taught technology classes for 22 years to adults. I started out teaching preschoolers, and teaching adults, seniors, is exactly like teaching preschoolers. You need to get, thank you, Huey. Huey knows that. You have to give as much information as you can. I usually say everything 3 times, and it drives my kids crazy because I taught to hear, hear, and hear. If they wanted to learn from a book, they were out of luck. that would be a class that I would give my students on a Saturday about, I called it preventive maintenance. And then we would actually go into the operating system and get the hands-on of every single thing I talked about. And Leah is nodding her head, so she knows what I'm talking about. And I gave a presentation 3 presentations ago, and the comment, they have a review of the presentation, and that they send their members. And one guy said, it was just like taking a class. And I emailed him back and I said, you are so correct. I can't help myself. And I have been working with computers for 33 years with my computer club, going to meetings like this, involved with APCUG, and it sticks. Because I take copious notes during presentations. I have my shorthand tablet here, it doesn't take up room, and I take notes. And then I type them, and the minute I do this, it's here. It sticks with me. I'm that kind of learner.
Judy, are you going to send will the slides be available to view and the video or something?
I will send the slides to Huey,
Yes,
Bill, and who?
you can send them to Huey.
Of course I will. And back in the day, we used to think we needed 2 tin cans and a string from Florida to California. But I will send them to, it will be a PDF, and I always do that. And I do have to say that I was updating this as late as 3:30 my time, 6:30 your time, because I had a doctor's appointment. And number one, I couldn't get my PowerPoint to work, but I loved it because they called and canceled it. I went, yes.
Wow, Judy, any more questions from anybody?
Yeah, I have a comment. When Judy was talking about cleaning your computer with a Swifter, which was a great idea, do not use a vacuum cleaner. They do have issues and can cause serious problems with your computer. And the other thing is, if you have a cat or a dog or any kind of a pet, you're liable to have a lot of hair that ends up in the various slots where the air gets in. Make sure that gets cleaned out on a regular basis. And let's see. And if you have it on the floor, you have to make sure, and Judy did mention this, it's not against a wall or the side of the computer desk, that air can get in through all of the holes that are designed to have air go through, because that's how it stays cool and keeps working, is air is going through the computer and cooling off the chips and so on.
One of my friends called me from elementary school, and she said, could you come and look at my computer? She was this much computer literate, you know. And I went up there, and she had the old stand like everybody used to have, the nice oak stand with, you know, the shelves over here, and your monitor went there, and there was the door on the left, and you had your tower in there. Well, that was fine, except every time she turned your computer on, she closed that door. So the only air coming in was the back hole that's not very big, where the 2 cords went through. And I remember, I don't open up things, but just for grins, I opened it up, and it was just full, crammed full of dust bunnies, you name it, you know. And I'm thinking, oh lady, you know, the fan, there's no way it could have turned. And you can't get, if you haven't backed up, you can't get stuff off your hard drive normally. And if you pay a service, you're going to pay a lot of money, and you may or may not get stuff. But she didn't know any better. She just thought the door was open, turn it on, she closed it. So you have to have the air circulating at all times. And in not this presentation, but another one, I have a copy of a picture of the inside of her computer, because it's really quite nice because it is so crummy. So and that's why you have the Swiffer. None of us want to get down on the floor anymore and get behind our towers. But if you have a Swiffer, you just reach over and clean the vents very easily.
Yeah, another thing with a laptop, it also has air ducts and the air has to go through it. So if you're setting it on a blanket on your bed, there's a good chance that it's getting blocked and not getting air to cool the chips as well. So just bear that in mind. If your laptop stops working, that could be a cause of it.
And
You
can
mentioned-
have-
Margaret
You
has
have
her
a fan
hand up.
that it sits on too, can you not?
Margaret Jean has a question.
Yeah, I was wondering, how about the air, compressed air? Do you ever use that to clean?
You have to be very careful if you use it inside because it's extremely cold and you can freeze things.
Right.
You can use that. I don't talk about cleaning your keyboard. I have a whole thing about cleaning your keyboard, but you can use that shooting sideways to go through. I used to have my son come and get my tower, and he would take it up and he would use his not compressed air, and that worked well. And you also, if you listen to videos on YouTube, you can clean it with a leaf blower.
Oh, God.
And you can also wash your keyboard in the dishwasher. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny.
No, thank you.
Bill,
Just to add a comment about compressed air. Remember, it will add dampness to your circuitry if you get it too close, because it turns into vapor, which is wet, and you don't want to introduce water into your system. So if you're going to use it with a little bit of caution and not too close to the circuitry.
and if you have a lot of static electricity at your house, you don't want to shuffle off to Buffalo and get close to your computer and touch it, because you're going to zap it, just like, you want to do to your cat and see their fur go like that. Well, you don't want to touch your tower, because it could ruin the whole thing. And the thing that I have mine on is on wheels. And it's under a table over here to my right. I'm in my family room. And it's so easy for me to just pull that out, because I'm a laptop person since way before 2013. And so this is new to me. And you know how much stuff you have to plug in the back. And I've had to unplug and plug everything in twice. And having this thing on wheels is perfect. And
You made a comment about a fan. I recently my old computer was getting very, very hot, and my daughter got a fan and I plugged it in. Would that be that you could set the laptop on? I haven't used it since I got a new computer, but should I try that again, or periodically set it on a fan, or just not worry about it?
what
I'm
kind
on a
of,
wooden desk.
is this desktop or laptop?
Laptop.
Laptop, you should get somebody just put that in the chat box. You should get a computer stand. It's just a little thing like this that has a fan.
Yes.
And a USB fan, and you just keep it plugged in, and it's down there circulating the air, and it also takes it up off your desk wherever you're using it.
And it also puts it on.
Your laptop should not be flat on anything. It was mentioned about a blanket. It should be not flat on anything. Remember
Okay.
my deck of cards, my 2 decks of cards I take with me to my computer club meeting.
Mhm. Okay.
So
Can you-
blowing a fan on it's not going to work. You need the air to circulate. So, and they're relatively inexpensive,
Yes,
depends on where you shop, Walmart, Amazon, whatever.
I saw that you could also turn it off and on in the back, even while it's still plugged in.
Well, you just unplug it, but yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
people don't think about laptops and circulating air, but it's critical.
This also put it on an angle for typing as well.
Well, that's why I use a wireless keyboard and mouse,
Yeah.
because, it's not meant, when I first got my first 17-inch laptop, the kid at Best Buy said, this is for kids going to college. And I said, bad eyes? He goes, oh. And then I had to go down to San Fernando Valley and spend $150 for a laptop case on wheels. They didn't have that kind of stuff back then. And I was taking it to one of the APCUG conferences, and I wanted something on wheels, and it was ridiculous. And he thought I was the strangest person known to man. But no, I needed it because of the large screen.
Judy, I have a question.
Yes.
Please. Okay. If you want to advertise sometime with a company, let's say AT&T, and you get a salesperson on the other line, and they say, I want you to link up to my computer so that I can show you all the options that you have. So if I join into their computer, like you mentioned something about it earlier, I join in with them. How do I know that they're not doing something like identity theft? I'm sure that AT&T employees are reputable, but how do you know that they're not doing identity theft or snooping in your emails at the same time and so on?
New Mexico and Southern California are both coming unglued right now. Over to you, Bob. You go ahead and answer her question for me.
Allow anyone to have remote access to your computer unless you're willing to have them take the computer out of your house with your password. If you trust them enough to do that, then okay, grant remote access. If you wouldn't give them your computer with your password, don't ever give them remote access. Like you said, you have no way of knowing what they'll do on your computer. They'll tell you one thing and they're doing something else in the background.
When I was talking about TeamViewer and AnyDesk, that was only using that with somebody that you know and you trust.
Correct.
You don't know that that's really AT&T. Just because he said he's AT&T, you don't know, and you are suspicious. You have some paranoia, especially in this day and age, and you just don't do stuff like that. Thank you very much, Bud.
Any more questions? Nothing? Judy, what a fantastic presentation. You should see my notes.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you take notes. There's
Yes.
no way I can remember all that stuff. My brain is so full of all of my years.
Of course.
As it is for all of us.
Well, we absolutely appreciate it. You're coming on with us tonight and helping us get through this this horrendous last day that we had over here in Sarasota. And I'm so glad the rest of you didn't have that to go through. And we're just delighted that you came through tonight and did such a great presentation. You can come back anytime, you know that.
Thank you. And I want you to notice that I put the jacket on from my picture that they have, which is 1,000 years old. Number one, that I can still fit in it. And number two, it was one of my favorite things, but I look good from here to my waist. I'm wearing jeans and moccasins, as we all are, not bathrobe and fuzzy slippers. I have a whole closet full of what I call church clothes and teaching clothes. They have not been worn, and I've worn, and I'm thinking I should start using those for presentations. So I turned off my video and ran to that closet and got my jacket so I'd match my picture.
Good for you. And you surely did match your picture tonight. Thank you again so much. That was really terrific. And now, since there are no more further questions from Judy, I'm going to we're not going to stop our meeting until we know who our winner is for the $50. My goodness gracious. Sharon, are you here? Sharon.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, I am.
here. Okay. The number one winner tonight for the $50 gift card from Amazon is Colleen Garrison. Colleen, are you here?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness gracious, that's you. I didn't know COL was Colleen. Wonderful. Well, you are the winner, and I will make sure that or in fact, why don't you stay on for just a moment with Sharon, and she will get your email. And if you don't, Sharon, I've got it. And so she'll be sending you a $50 certificate to Amazon. So spend it wisely. And again, I want to thank you all for coming. Judy?
I'm the recruit for Colleen, okay?
Yes.
You're the recruit. You're the
She wanted to attend some of our APCUG sponsored things, and I said, I'm sorry. You know, you guys are all just my kids here. What can I tell you? And so, you know, we have to play fair, and you have to be a member of an APCUG group. And she kept sending me all this stuff. And then I finally said, you know, you should join Sarasota. You probably would not want to drive that far. She lives north of you, but they have all these fantastic forums, classes, meetings, and everything. And so she did. Huey, she would also like to join the Central Florida Computer Society too. She gave that information to Mike Ungerman. So you guys need to follow up with her.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Wow.
So
That's
she
fantastic.
got recruited from Southern California to Florida. What can I tell you?
Thank
Judy,
you.
thank you for that. And Colleen, congratulations again. And thank you for joining us. Because you have
bless
to
you
be a
all.
member to be a prize winner.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. So if there is anything else to come before this meeting, we will adjourn. Nothing here, nothing. Do I hear nothing? In that case, we are adjourned until next time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Huey.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Colleen, would you please